If you just clicked on this video and now you're faced with this big fat-headed bald man and you're going to click off, just stay on for the TLDR, because this indicator will probably be the best indicator that you've never seen about Bitcoin, tops and bottoms. Look at this. Okay, this is the TLDR. Oversold. Okay. Seems pretty useful. That would be good. Yeah, good. Not perfect, but pretty good. Okay, yep, another big step up. And over here, yep, just before another big step up. Okay, pretty good. Oversold. How about overbought? Okay, 2017, not so useful. Post 2017, we get this intra-cycle high. We get the first high of 2021. We get the second high of 2021. Tell me what other indicator has shown you that the second high of 2021 was overbought. I haven't seen one. Intra-cycle, overbought. Yeah, we get a dip. Okay, yeah, we could have got another nice entry. Intra-cycle again, overbought. Okay, yeah, we trended down after that. Intra-cycle again, another high, overbought. Yeah, we trended down after this. Recently, we've had some weak signals again. We haven't trended down yet, but we haven't had enough time to see what's going to happen. So that's the TLDR. If you like this indicator, check it out at cryptological.app, because there's this and loads more, and you might find them useful. But seriously, this indicator, I haven't seen it anywhere. I've searched for it online, can't find it, but I created it, and it's awesome. And I'm going to be using it in the future, definitely. Now, if you want to stick around for a little bit more in-depth analysis, that's what I'm going to go into now. This indicator is called the Bitcoin MVRV to TX count ratio. So essentially it takes the market value to realized value ratio of Bitcoin, which you can think of as the price that you bought Bitcoin at and the price or the value that Bitcoin is at now. So if you bought Bitcoin at 30,000, now the price is at 119,000, which it is today, the ratio is going to be high. And so the idea behind this ratio is that it shows you selling pressure, because if you bought Bitcoin at a low value and now it's at a really high value, and that was the last time it was transacted, last time it was moved on the network, there's pressure to get rid of that Bitcoin. So it's selling pressure. And then the transaction count is just basically network activity. So how many transactions are happening on the Bitcoin network? And this indicator, this purple line, combines those two metrics into a single data point, a single metric, a single simple metric. And we can use it to have a look at overbought and oversold levels that just help inform us when to buy and when to sell. Now, Bitcoin is something that you can buy and hold forever, and if it just carries on doing what it's been doing ever since it was created, you're going to be okay in the end. But if you want to try and maximize your investment, it's good to pay attention to this sort of stuff. And indicators like this can really help. Initially, as you find with a lot of indicators, the earlier back in the Bitcoin's history you go, the more volatile it is. The emergent behavior hasn't yet become emergent. It's all kind of like Wild West, pew, 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 things firing off all over the place, and it's hard to get a good a bead on what's happening. And it's the same with this indicator. Going back to 2016, 2017, it doesn't seem to be that useful in terms of the overbought section or the oversold section. There's not really much data there going on. But when we get to the mainly the 2018 dead cat bounce, yeah. So after we had this peak here for the bear market top, the blow off top, and then you get this massive drop, and then you get a dead cat bounce where, you know, even a dead cat will bounce after it drops. I don't know who created that, but it's a well-known phrase in Bitcoin investing, at least, and financial markets. So you get this secondary bounce where people think maybe the market's not over, and then it comes back up again, and then it just continues to fall away, and the bear market is here. And this is where the indicator first actually shows that it's quite useful, because it says, okay, we're overbought here, maybe you should think about selling. And then what do you know? Bear market for the next, 2 years. And then if we click on the oversold, we can see that it's telling us, okay, literally the bottom of the market is telling us exactly where the bottom of the market is, which is quite a useful bit of information to know, because once Bitcoin left these levels, it never went back. The next indication we see is the intra-cycle high, well, around the high anyway. I mean, this flashed at, what was the price? 11.4. The high was 12.9. So there's a slight indiscrepancy there between them. But since that flashed back in 12th of July 2019, the price just dropped. Trended all the way down up until March of 2020 when we got the big black swan event, which was the global economy shutdown. And we don't actually go back up to like what did I say? 11.4. We don't go back up there until 30th of July 2020, around that time. So if you did sell there, you would have had all this time to find a better entry than you had there where we sold. And here, look, the peaks. It flashed on the secondary peak, the second peak, which was an all-time high, the actual market top, in 2021, towards the end of 2021. No other indicator did that I can remember, that I can think of. If you know differently, tell me in the comments. I'll look it up and try and maybe add it to the website. But if we go to other indicators that people like to use, let's have a look at the pi cycle top indicator. Really good for predicting tops. So let's have a look. Top markers, there we go. So whenever we get the crossover of the 111 day and the 350 day times 2 moving averages, that's where Bitcoin tops out. So here we see the early 2013 double top cycle. Here we go, they cross over again here in 2017. They don't cross over here for the peak, the intra-cycle peak in 2019, although we did get the overbought indicator flashing on the MVRV to transaction ratio, which is cool. Here we see the first peak, it flashed really close to the top, brilliant. But look at the second peak, nowhere near. The second peak in 2021, pi cycle top indicator was nowhere. This would be telling you, yeah, just keep piling into the market, keep accruing Bitcoin, it's going to be going up. No top here. And obviously at the moment we haven't flashed anywhere near it either. What else was there? The Bitcoin risk metric, which is another one of people's favored metrics for trying to find out where the tops are. Here we see it getting up to the high levels, like above 7.8 back in 2011, 2013 double peaks, and then 2017 peak, and then the 2021 first peak flashing top. And then look at it for the second peak. Second peak, it had dropped down from 0.8, what was it? 0.87, 0.92, dropped all the way down from 0.92 down to the highest level during the second peak was 0.57. That's like mid-range. That's like, accumulation territory. So I really love this metric. It's just so good. We can have a look at the individual MVRV ratio and transaction count charts here, data's metrics, and we can see there's obviously some kind of relationship between them. But when I was looking at these, I was trying to think, how can we try and get a meaningful metric out of these two individual metrics? I was probing through the data, trying to find a way of combining them to get one metric from these two that showed us some really good insight into the Bitcoin market and the price action. And I think I found it. It's just such a cool indicator. We can have a look at different smoothing techniques. This is a 7-day SMA, which seems to give some really good insight, probably better than the others. But if we have a quick look, we can turn off the smoothing altogether. It doesn't quite do as good a job, I think. Yeah, these bottoms, there's a lot of data. Without the smoothing, it looks very messy. It's hard to get any good clean signals from this. So go to the 7-day EMA. So the first signals we get in 2019 around the bottom of the oversold indicator. Here in 2022, yeah, we don't pick up the main bottom. We get like the levels that we were spending most of the time around before we had like the large big dip. And yeah, these would have been good entries too if we'd used the oversold indicator here for more entries, especially intra-cycle entries, not just complete market bottom, but intra-cycle, when a lot of people are coming into the market and they're trying to find a good time to put more money in. This would have helped you out a lot. because it wouldn't have been too long investing, a couple months, maybe a month, and then all of a sudden the price is off and away to the races. And the same here as well. Was it September? And then by November, we're off to the races again. Yeah, the 7-day SMA seems to be, I find it to be the most useful way of looking at this data. But the MVRV to transaction count boiled down to one number, it seems to be a really good indicator. I'm definitely going to be adding it to the indicators that I use personally to help me figure out what's going on in the market. But if you want to have access to this chart and many other charts we got down here, then visit cryptological.app, sign up for a free account, check it out, and if you like, subscribe, and then you get access to all the premium features too. So thanks for watching today. Until next time, take care.